Title: At 2 a.m., my husband secretly copied my credit card details while I was asleep. The next morning, I noticed $50,000 worth of charges on luxury goods and flights to Europe. A week later, he returned, flaunting his purchases and saying with a mocking smile, "Thanks for the upgrade." I burst out laughing, because the credit card he used. I woke up to silence, the kind that feels intentional. Mark was already gone, his side of the bed cold. No note, no text, just the faint scent of his cologne still hanging in the room. I stretched, shuffled to the kitchen, and brewed a coffee before opening the bank app on my phone. A morning ritual I never skipped. Then I saw it. $7,800. Cartier, $14,200. Lufthansa business class, $4,980. La Réserve Hotel and Spa, Paris, $6,120. Bottega Veneta, $11,000. Richard Mille Boutique, $3,900. Private car rental, nice, my throat dried. The charges weren't pending. They were cleared. $50,000 gone. Overnight. I froze. Not from shock, but from validation. Because part of me had known. Mark had been pulling away for months. Less affection. Late-night strategy calls that never showed up on his work calendar. Smirks when I brought up money. He once told me I was too careful with finances. What's the point of wealth if you don't enjoy it? He always said we, when he meant himself. The night before, I'd fallen asleep reading. He must have waited until I passed out, then taken my wallet from the kitchen drawer. He knew the card number wouldn't trigger an alert because it was a backup, one I rarely used. He didn't steal the physical card, just copied the details. Quiet, calculated, cowardly. Most women would have panicked, called the bank, called the cops. But I didn't, because Mark didn't know one very important thing. The card he used wasn't mine. Not really. It belonged to my LLC, Claire Winter Holdings, a corporate entity with a federal ID, business account protections, and a fraud coverage clause, built for exactly this. It was the card I used to bait liars, the one I labeled CW-Shadow in my own accounting system. So I took a breath, set down my coffee, and smiled. Mark thought he'd scammed me. He didn't know I'd been preparing for this day for a long time. I poured myself a fresh cup of coffee, opened a new email. To Internal Auditor, CW Holdings. Subject: Unauthorized business card usage attachments. Transaction list. Travel confirmations. Security notice. By the time Mark landed in France, thinking he'd pulled the ultimate con, the clock on his very expensive mistake had already started ticking. Mark didn't call, didn't text, didn't check in. He just vanished, like a magician who forgot the audience still had eyes. But I knew where he was. Not because he told me, because he wanted to be seen. 3 days after he left, he posted a photo on Instagram. He stood in front of the Eiffel Tower in a crisp linen blazer, champagne flute in hand, a caption that read, "Leveling up. You wouldn't understand." I understood plenty. I understood that. The blazer was from Bottega Veneta. $6,120. The champagne, $200 a bottle, billed to my business card. The hotel, logged under CW Holdings, flagged as a non-employee travel expense. He even tagged the restaurant. That was the best part. I logged into the corporate card portal and downloaded the full PDF of itemized charges. Room service, spa treatments, private driver in Paris, multiple purchases from luxury boutiques. Each one was now marked with an internal fraud claim ID tied to a pre-registered security notice with CW Holdings' legal team. What Mark thought was spending was evidence gathering, but I wasn't done. I called my attorney, Sasha, an absolute assassin in heels. "He's using a business credit card that's not in his name," I said. "I want to file formal misuse charges." Did he know it was a corporate card? He knew it wasn't his. Then let him keep spending, she said. The bigger the haul, the harder the fall. We filed the paperwork that day. A cease and desist notice would be sent to Mark's hotel concierge, right as he checked out. I also forwarded screenshots of his Instagram stories to Sasha. Is that necessary? She asked. Number, but it'll be fun in discovery. The next morning, Mark posted again, this time from the Amalfi Coast. Private boat day. Upgrades everywhere I go. He was on a boat paid for by a company card he wasn't legally allowed to touch. I printed it, labeled it, Exhibit 7. Then I blocked him on everything. Not out of rage, but because I didn't need to keep watching. He thought he was on vacation, but he was walking through a litigation minefield, and every post was a breadcrumb back to his downfall. He walked through the front door like he owned the world, a silver Rimowa suitcase in one hand, a paper bag from some Paris boutique in the other, and that smug, post-vacation swagger radiating off him like heat. He tossed his keys onto the table, kicked off his designer loafers, and grinned at me. You're awake. Good. I sipped my tea and stayed seated on the couch, laptop open beside me. He strolled over, dropped the shopping bag on the ottoman like it was a trophy, and said with a wink, Thanks for the upgrade, babe. Then he plopped down across from me and pulled out a pair of Richard Mille sunglasses, price tag still dangling. You should see the villa I found in Florence. We should book a few months there. You cover the flights. I'll handle the wine. He laughed at his own joke. I didn't. Mark, I said calmly, did you enjoy your trip? He smiled wide. Best money I never spent. I nodded. Right. That's actually what I wanted to talk to you about. He squinted. What? I slid a document across the table. His name was typed across the top. Notice of civil liability and misuse of corporate property. CW Holdings. He blinked, then laughed. What is this? You're suing me? No, I said. The company is. You used a corporate credit card to fund a personal luxury spree. Internationally, while not an employee. That's not just fraud. It's criminal misuse of business assets. Wait, hold on. Your company? Yes, Mark. My company. The card wasn't mine. It belonged to CW Holdings, the LLC I own, the one I fund, the one with the federal fraud protection clause you triggered with every champagne-fueled Instagram story. The color drained from his face. I kept going. Here's a list of all your transactions. Here's the cease and desist filed with American Express. Here's the formal report to the Federal Trade Commission. Oh, and here's a letter from my attorney. You'll want to read that one first. He stood. Claire, come on. I thought we were a team. I finished. So did I. Until you stole $50,000 from a card you thought I wouldn't notice. He looked like he wanted to yell. But he didn't. He just stood there, frozen in his $900 loafers, looking like a man who finally realized the game was over. I'm not pressing charges on yet, I added, but the company is demanding full restitution, which means every dime comes out of your pocket. Oh, and we're done. I've already filed for divorce. He didn't speak. He didn't smirk. He just stared at the letter. Because for the first time in our marriage, Mark was the one left holding the bill. Mark left that afternoon in silence. No bags, no fight. Just the bruised ego of a man who thought he was too clever to get caught. By sunset, he was staying at a friend's house. At least, that's what he told everyone. What I didn't tell him? I'd already submitted joint asset freeze requests to 3 banks, flagged every account we shared, moved my personal savings into a new account he had no access to. I also logged into our joint brokerage profile, something he rarely checked, and calmly transferred my portion of the investments into my separate trust account, all legally backed by prenup clauses he never bothered to read. Mark tried to fight back the next morning. He emailed me, CCing a lawyer friend. These charges are exaggerated. I never signed a usage agreement for that credit card. I demand access to the joint accounts immediately. I replied once. You didn't sign the card agreement, Mark. That's exactly why your name is being referred to the business fraud unit. Best of luck. Raymond, my corporate attorney, added a line. As of this message, Mr. Reed's card activity has been forwarded to federal investigators for review. Any attempt to liquidate assets under Claire Bennett's LLC or post an up division will constitute obstruction. I watched his Instagram disappear that day. Account deactivated. Comments under old photos. People asking what happened. No response. By Friday, Brittany messaged me. His younger sister. Always too nosy. What happened? Is it true Mark stole your money? I sent one reply. He didn't steal my money. He stole from a business, and now the business is calling it back. That weekend, Mark tried to access our joint credit line. Denied. He tried to use his Apple Pay linked to my old card. Flagged. He went to a local branch to talk to someone. They gave him a copy of the civil liability notice I'd filed through my LLC. Monday morning, I received an update from Raymond. Mr. Reed has requested a mediation hearing to discuss repayment terms. The company has no obligation to accept. Want to attend for fun? I declined, because I'd already won. And now, I didn't want a seat at the table. I wanted my silence to be the final thing he couldn't afford. By midweek, Mark was liquidating everything he flaunted. His statement watch, listed on resale sites. The limited edition sneakers, gone within hours. The private luggage set, sitting in a local consignment shop. He tried to sell back the flight vouchers he hadn't used. The airline flagged the purchase. The credit card provider denied a refund. The business fraud team marked it as evidence in an open investigation. He didn't just lose the luxuries. He lost the ability to pretend. Meanwhile, I was doing something else. Rebuilding. Quietly. I changed the company website. Archived every photo of us together. Every press mention. Every LinkedIn tag where he'd inserted himself as advisor to my business. He never was. He just liked the spotlight I earned and thought it reflected off him by default. Next, I filed the final divorce papers. Filed with zero spousal support, citing financial fraud, theft, and business sabotage. Mark's lawyer tried to argue. Mine simply handed over the file of unauthorized charges, screenshots, and federal complaint numbers. They didn't bring it up again. I also did something I hadn't done in years. I changed my name, not back to my maiden name. Forward, to a new name I'd already secured for business filings and trademarks. Because I wasn't going back. I was stepping into someone they never saw coming. Mark texted me 2 days later. I sold the last of it. They're still demanding more. What do you want from me? I didn't reply. Because that's what he never understood. It was never about wanting anything from him. It was about reclaiming what was already mine. That night, I sat in my new apartment. Smaller, simpler, completely mine. No echoes of him. No debt tied to his shadow. No card for him to copy ever again. Just peace. It's been 4 months. No calls. No texts. No let's talk. Mark vanished. Not from the world, but from relevance. The fraud case? Still pending. The restitution? Still unpaid. He's now just a man with bad credit, a thinner wardrobe, and a reputation no lender will touch. I'd heard through mutual friends that he tried starting over. New job, new city, new dating profile full of vague entrepreneur talk. Didn't last. Because now, when you Google his name, you don't find selfies from Paris. You find a business fraud warning issued by CW Holdings' legal team. His name, attached to a cautionary tale. Mine, on a brand that's grown 18% since I cut him out. The best part? I didn't expose him. He did that all by himself. One receipt, one tagged post, one smug swipe at a time. I just collected the evidence. One night, while clearing out old files, I found a voicemail I'd forgotten to delete. Mark's voice, left the day I served him the divorce papers. You didn't have to go nuclear. You could have just told me you were pissed. I laughed to myself. Mark, You think this was nuclear? Number nuclear is loud. Nuclear leaves fallout. What I did was surgical, clean, quiet, final. Now, I run my business from a new HQ, with a new name, surrounded by people who know I am the brand. Not some man behind me, not a ring on my hand, just me. Mark? He's just a cautionary line in the legal playbook I give to young women entrepreneurs. Never let someone else sleep beside your power without a plan. He stole $50,000 in luxury goods and thought he upgraded his life. But the real upgrade was losing him, and I didn't need revenge that burned. I just needed revenge that ended. Was that justice, or just the beginning? If this story left a mark, tell us. Your silence speaks volumes, but your words build this community. If you felt that quiet strength, hit like. If you want more endings that don't scream but still echo, subscribe and tap the bell so you never miss when revenge returns. Calm, cold, and beautifully earned. This is veiled revenge. We don't explode. We endure. We don't chase. We choose. And when the moment comes, we never miss.